Back in March of 2012, a shaky amateur video sparked outrage in our community. The video showed a Liberty City police officer, later identified as Officer Juan Ramirez, remove a man from a vehicle and seemingly beat him for no reason, even after he was run over by a city bus. It was later revealed that the beating occurred just moments after the driver of the vehicle had stabbed Officer Ramirez's 8-year-old daughter while trying to flee from a robbery. After a lengthy trial, Officer Ramirez, pictured here, was acquitted of all charges in a decision accepted by most of the community. Officer Ramirez later returned to duty and quickly fell from the public's radar. We at Weazel News wanted to check in on Officer Ramirez 1 year after the death of his daughter and the uproar caused by the trial, so we sent our cameras to follow him on duty for several shifts. After spending only a few hours with Officer Ramirez, we were astounded with what we experienced. After only a few minutes, the first call came in and Officer Ramirez quickly sprang into action. It was reported that a woman had slipped from a walkway, fallen into the nearby river, and was now struggling to stay afloat. After a moment spent trying to locate the woman, Officer Ramirez, without any regard to his own safety, plunged nearly 20 feet into the cold river below to assist the woman, who would ultimately survive with only minor injuries. We were shocked at what we had just witnessed, but before we could collect ourselves, another call came in. Over the radio came the dreaded call-out of a 1013 officer in need of assistance. The radio transmission was too garbled to get many details, but Officer Ramirez knew his fellow officer needed help, and quickly. Even though he had no idea what to expect, Officer Ramirez rushed directly to the scene without a second thought. Upon arrival, Officer Ramirez quickly found the officer engaged in a gunfight with two suspects. Even as his partner took a round and fell to the ground, Officer Ramirez rushed forward and engaged the first suspect. He was forced to kill the first suspect and quickly turned his attention to the second. As his partner rushed forward, he took a round and fell to the ground again. Officer Ramirez ultimately was forced to kill the second suspect as well. Luckily, his quick actions saved the life of the first officer in need.
Pull over now! You have been warned!
The next shift started off a little slower than the first, and we spent nearly an hour patrolling the streets, with only one traffic stop for a woman who was speeding and had run a red light.
Hey there!
You were driving recklessly back there? LCPD, show me your ID. Thanks.
Thanks, I guess.
After that, the night continued on as slowly as it had started, until just after dawn when a call came through about shots fired. 911 calls stated that it appeared two groups were battling in the street with assault rifles. Officer Ramirez was quickly pinned down behind his squad car. After obtaining his rifle from the car, he was forced to retreat to new cover.
Shit! He's gotta go!
Send in some backup. I'm coming for you!
After several minutes of intense fighting, all the suspects had been neutralized. It was not until after the last suspect was secured that Officer Ramirez realized he had been hit many times. The injuries Officer Ramirez sustained that morning were severe enough to land him in the hospital for several days, but not once did he stop fighting or think about fleeing. His actions earned him no medals, no awards, no recognition, and the shootout received only minor attention in the news. At this point, all of my crew was beginning to wonder why he did this. He couldn't really give us a straight answer. After a week of rehab, Officer Ramirez was deemed fit to return to the streets. His family and co-workers encouraged him to take some more time or to even consider being reassigned to a less dangerous division. He wouldn't hear it. He simply wanted to be back on patrol to help the people who counted on him. If only he realized this would be a fatal decision. The day after Officer Ramirez returned to duty, he was dispatched to another report of shots fired, near the same spot as the one that landed him in the hospital. This would be his final call. It would take officers 18 minutes to reach him. He was shot 27 times and bled out on the street. It is easy to judge police officers by what we see every day in the news and on YouTube of alleged acts of abuse and overuse of power. But very rarely does anyone realize the horrors these officers face every day. They see people at their worst: drunk drivers, drugged children, pained parents, angry killers, disoriented criminals. And through it all, officers must be calm, brave, helpful, and above all, hopeful they can make a difference. Juan Ramirez died doing just that. Thank you, officer. For Weazel News, I'm Connor Bruder.